there. Welcome to TokStocks. I'm your host, Keir Reynolds, and today we're lucky enough to have Rory Quinn, CEO for Yukon Metals. Trades on the CSE with the ticker YMC. Hey, Rory, how you doing?
Very good, Keir. Thanks for having me. Good to see you.
Hey, nice to see you. Just for everybody that are watching, just for full transparency, Rory and I actually used to work together. Oh, it's got to be going like 20 years ago now.
That's right.
When we were getting our start sort of in the investor relations industry, working for a little firm in Vancouver, Ascenta Capital. And anyways, boy, you've really gone a lot of different places and you've been very successful. And I think the word on the street is Rory doesn't do crap deals. Rory gets behind good deals. So that's why I'm a shareholder of your latest entry here with Yukon, and look forward for this to be kind of a first look. Top to bottom, you can give us a bit of a run through.
Thanks for your support, Keir. No, great to be on. Great to have you as a shareholder. Really, Yukon Metals. We're just over a year old now. This represents 30 years of prospecting by the Berdahl family. They're, of course, the family behind Snowline Gold, which have gone on to be tremendously successful. Brand like new 3-4-year-old district scale gold discovery now in the Yukon. They've gone from about a $20 million market cap to $1.5 billion. So Snowline represented the primary gold assets in the Berdahl family's private portfolio. Yukon Metals is copper, gold, silver, lead, zinc, critical metals, and we floated that as Yukon Metals just over a year ago. Keith Neumeyer partnering with the Berdahls to help float it and help from the structure side.
Awesome. Sounds like a great opportunity. Before we get you to sort of dive a little bit deeper into it, maybe you could sort of just catch us up a little bit for those of my audience that haven't sort of paid attention to your career. So, about 20 years ago since we worked together, where have you sort of gone since? What are some of the other things that you've done?
Yeah, so it was amazing the sense that it was managed to pick up a talented young group there somehow, and I think you went on to lots of success and working on deals, and from there, as you know, I moved to Toronto, and during it's a difficult time. I think it was 2007, 2008, so just during the Great Recession. I started there with a good company called Castle Gold. And it was a relatively small, it wasn't a huge mine down in Mexico, but called El Castillo that was just about 2 million ounces to start. Ended up being a 100,000 ounce producer, low grade, but really low strip, 0.6 strip. That's how you make 0.3 grams per ton work, is with a 0.6 strip. We ended up selling that to the guys from Meridian. Right after that, So they started Argonaut, and El Castillo was their flagship. So that was really when I was inside IR and sort of helping run programs. That was my first big win. I was the last guy out the door there at Castle Gold and helped tour Argonaut around, and then moved back to Vancouver and started with Silver Wheaton at the time. Before we rebranded as Wheaton Precious Metals. And that was a good education, right? Certainly understanding the financial engineering side of the business, and we did $6 billion worth of transactions deals when I was there, primarily in the copper, gold, silver, lead, and critical metal space, which is the space I'm in now with Yukon Metals, and then subsequent to that. During COVID, I had an opportunity with an Australian-focused company, and it was when Fosterville was really hot. I think we seeded at 5 cents. We launched at 45 cents, if memory recalls, roughly. And we had a really nice discovery hole there. It was one of the better holes of the year, actually. It was 11 meters of 160 grams per ton gold.
Wow.
And so then we raised again at $1. Eric Sprott came in at $1. I think it went to about $1.60 on high volume. But unfortunately, we weren't able to demonstrate continuity there, and so it didn't become a project. But I think for folks that invested in it, we certainly were able to show that promise and reward early investors.
Yeah, 5 cents to a buck 60. Not too bad, not too shabby at all. So it's been about a year now since this Yukon kind of came together with you as
Yeah.
CEO. How did this sort of all come to be? How'd you get involved?
Yeah, so it was Keith Newmeyer that pulled me in. So Keith did the transaction with Scott and Ron on Snowline, and as Scott now obviously took over as the CEO of Snowline, on this one it was very much Keith and Ron working on it. So I met Keith, I think, during our time at Ascenta. I think he did a lot of marketing in Germany, and I think I was over there with Crowflight at the time. So I met him initially marketing in Germany, but then we did a transaction with First Majestic while I was at Silver Wheaton,
Mhm.
and so we did some marketing with them, and so I was aware of him and the First Majestic folks through doing marketing events and such. Yeah, I interviewed with Keith, right? So we sat down and sort of talked about the vision and how I could help, and this was in really this was still in the stage where the deal wasn't closed. We hadn't the listing wasn't closed, hadn't financed. Yeah, interviewed with Keith, interviewed with Ron, right, and then it was just a matter of like stick handling all the listing stuff, closing the deal with Ron, right, and then raising the money to get out of the gate.
Excellent. And so a lot of work to help sort of bring it to market. The company has been trading pretty well here, sort of since you got involved with it. It's a beautiful looking chart. I guess it helps when we have the backdrop of what's sort of happening in kind of the critical metals and precious metals sort of space. But what were some of the key priorities that you wanted to do once you stepped in and stick handled it and got it public? What sort of groundwork have you laid in the last year?
Yeah, I mean, so raising the money out of the gate was really key. So 15 million. Obviously, I think we benefited certainly from having a similar genesis to Snowline, having the Berdahl family name behind us. Keith obviously brings a substantial investor interest with him as well. We were able to raise really good money out of the gate. I think the Haywood folks came in for about 5 million. Canaccord, Crescat came in out of the gate. Commodity Capital, and you'll know the folks in town here. So at Haywood, Bob Disbrow, David Lyle, John Tognetti, Tim Ferriss, Thomas Relling, really good group there. At Canaccord, Pat Leckie and Brian Peters, and Bernie out of Calgary. So really good start there, right out of the gate. Mark Wolverton took a huge position. He's
Mm.
now an insider, because he's doubled down on his ownership. So yeah, couldn't have asked for better as far as for this stage of development, early stage, taking big swings, right? And so that kind of risk capital came into us very early on, and then it was really about building a team. So the first major hire was Helena Kuika, who I hired from Victoria Gold prior to their slide. So like a month prior to their slide. Really, she was just in transitioning over, just to given her notice, and so they had that unfortunate event. For us, we would have had a hard time staffing up last summer, but when that happened, they had to lay off all of their geological staff,
Mm.
right? And they were known to have a good geological team. Like Helen had
Yeah.
worked 13 years, and so we were able to really just pick up the best and brightest young, hungry talent at Victoria Gold. Started out with this cohesive team underneath Helena, of folks that enjoy being around each other. They've been at camp before. They know what a good, successful, high morale camp should look like. And right, so that was fortuitous for us. As you know, Kaylee Gattens, I met her when she was at Gold Corp, which was kind of a sister company with Wheaton,
Yep.
and Kaylee joined us in January. That's been great. So we've really put together now our senior management team. So yeah, that was key. Building that out, and really then it's just, as you know, like it's engagement with the engagement and thinking about raising money. So we raised just over $26 million over the last year. So as you know, that's a year round effort, right? That is continuing to be market responsive, right? Building relationships, keeping follow up, keeping people informed, so that when you go to raise, you already have that foundation.
Right. Now, maybe you could just give us a bit of an overview. You've got this property package.
Yeah.
When you go to, you got a great website, by the way. I'd really encourage everybody, and I'll have a link below. Go to the website. It's top notch. It's great. Lots of detail, lots of information. But how many sort of total projects was this sort of portfolio that you got from the Berdahl sort of group? And maybe you could just give us a little lay of the land. What do you got?
Yeah. Yeah, so we transacted on 17 assets. So I think, I think I've heard from people who's like, "Whoa, you're drilling 3 assets. That's wild. Like that's really ambitious." But that actually represented, believe it or not, quite a bit of focus. so, so like we had 17 assets spread over the territory, and essentially, I mean, there was all of the assets are good, right, in the portfolio. They all represent assets that are handpicked by Ron and family, right. And so, look, I think at some point we will on an ongoing basis go through a portfolio optimization approach and consider which ones or which assets are core to us, and which might not be. And so then we could divest, we could do a spin out of a focused company. We could allow another company to use their treasury to earn in, that sort of thing. But the 3 assets we focused on, AZ, Star, River, and Birch. We kind of arrived at using 3 axes, right, to help prioritize and figure out which of the assets that we can meaningfully move forward and create shareholder value on in a shorter period of time. And so AZ, 13,000 hectares, 3.5% copper, 6 kilometers away from the Alaska Highway, right? And then you've got a deep water port in Skagway. So that's AZ. At Star River, we've got 11,000 gram per ton silver at surface, over 100 gram per ton gold at surface, silver bearing rocks, gold bearing rocks overlapping in multiple locations. That Star River sits on an all access plowed road by the government, plowed year round. I can be on site in an F-150 in 5 hours from Whitehorse Airport. And so there's that one. And then Birch, we believe we've got an intact copper porphyry. It was a Sean Ryan property before Ron picked it up. He'd had a gold and soil anomaly. We followed that up with really high quality soil program. We drilled a meter into the permafrost, so real high quality sample, avoiding smearing at surface. Developed a 1,400 meter long golden soil anomaly up to 0.99 gram per ton gold, so almost a gram per ton gold in soil, 0.24% copper, and then we're seeing all the molybdenum, the pathfinder element tellurium in Whitehorse. So we feel really good about having a porphyry there. So just to sort of as an umbrella over those things, the key elements for us, the 3 axes, were the opportunity for real scale, right? And I can get into that a bit more. High grade, and proximity to road and power, which was huge in the Yukon, right? It's a vast territory. It's almost the size of California. It's a bit bigger than California, actually, but 40,000 people instead of 40 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, so access is huge.
And so just to frame it for people that are watching this,
yeah,
this is one of those high torque stories, high risk, high rewards exploration. Out of the 17 assets, none of these have been previously like drilled, or have they been drilled? Any de-risking from that standpoint, or is this all more like staked and you've done some of the sort of groundwork to sort of move these things along and they have interesting showings? What's the sort of stage of the 17?
Yeah, I mean, it is definitely early stage, as you said. We're taking big swings, which our investors have want us to do, and they've provided us with the capital to do that. So at AZ in particularly, so we're wrapping up a program there. We just did a site tour last weekend. We've got 3.5% copper at surface, like right at surface. We're just like, you can hack you can hack malachite right out of the ground. Folks were doing that just this last weekend. And that continues that Gossan zone for 1.2 kilometers, right? So at Chair Mountain, where we have that 3.5% copper, 3 kilometers north of that is Maryland Creek, where the Berdahls delivered 10.3% copper in trenching. So that's 3 kilometers away. 4 kilometers south, we found a new zone where we're currently drilling. We've got encouragement. There's malachite everywhere, so copper all over the place. And then we've got really nice encouragement of gold there as well. A lot of chalcopyrite. And so you're talking about a 7 kilometer long trend. We've got some really nice showings there. And we'll do the work geophysics suite in between all of these showings and induce polarization, the full suite. So to test for all of that scale. But that's, I mean, it's got the chance to be a monster. So yeah, I mean, look, we didn't have to do a lot of soil work because it outcrops, and that's just kind of unique. Well, in my experience to the Yukon is like you don't see a lot of cropping like that obvious where you can just trip over a discovery in Arizona, right? In Arizona, it'd be gone 50 years ago. But you do see that in the Yukon.
I guess the advent of a bit of climate change means you're getting some untouched ground that used to be maybe covered by a glacier or something like that, or permafrost, as you sort of indicated. So very cool. So you got 3 sort of flagship projects here out of the 17. You've got some good focus. You stole the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, whoa, Rory, that's pretty ambitious, doing 3 drill programs. That sounds like what we would have said when we were 25 years old. Why drill 1 when we can drill 3, you know? But anyways, it sounds like you've got showing some restraint there with only drilling 3. What do these drill programs sort of look like? How, when did you start drilling, and when could we expect our first assays?
Yeah, so with AZ, that was up first, right? And so we've done a couple thousand meters there. We brought in a second drill just to focus on this new zone that we were targeting, where we were having the encouragement that there's gold. So we're wrapping up there. So in this area, you need to be sensitive to your partners and relationships in the community. And so it's where we were when we were just doing this tour. There's like mountain sheep and goats like right on the side of the hill when we're flying out. And so it's actually a hunting season there through August. So we're clearing out there in August, and like it's really high value hunting that they do there. Sure. And so so they helicopters and sheep don't mix too well hunting season wise.
Neither do the guns and helicopters, but anyway, that's
So I guess that would be a pretty good activity for a high net worth tour.
Yeah, isn't that when you got a site tour coming up just around August? Yeah.
We just did a tour now. We might have to get Keith and Mark Wolverton and Pat Leckie and David Lyle up. Probably be somewhere else. We won't be helicopter shooting. Anyway,
that's AZ. And so you've got a couple thousand meters, and you've got them into the assay lab, and we can expect initial assays sort of whenabouts. What do you think?
You're looking at generally about a month, right, to be conservative, and so we're getting our last core in over the next few days to the lab. And so what I want to be able to show is we're doing deep hill holes here, like 400 meters, and I'd love to be able to show that all of that context together. And obviously, what we want to be able to demonstrate there is what we're looking for is discovery holes, right? That's what we want to be able to show. I showed a bit of visuals in the first hole, a lot of malachite, a lot of azurite. And that was down to 24 meters. Oxidized is down to at least 80 or 100 meters. And so, be excited to put those holes out and see if we get if the encouragement we're getting at surface with the gold there bears out in drilling.
And what type of system is it? Like epithermal? Like what type of system is AZ?
Yeah, it's looking like porphyry.
Okay, great. So so you're looking for a fairly high grade copper with some sniffs of gold.
Yeah, I mean it's such a big system. It's kind of a bit of a Hollywood problem there because it's like I said, 13,000 hectares. We're only in a small element, a small portion of it. But yeah, I mean it looks to us like a porphyry type system, right? But we're still wrapping our heads around it. We're going to learn a ton by assaying down to 400 meters for structure. So that's AZ. Yeah, roughly 2,000 meters there. Sorry, I know it's a lot to go through. Yeah, interrupt anytime. Star, we'll seek to do between 3,000 to 4,000 meters there. So yeah, sort of 10 holes of 300 meters or so. There, we believe we'll be able to drill through a silver vein at surface and into a gold-bearing mantle roughly 50 meters below. And that's in this specific area where we really do, I mean, gets overused, but even our pretty conservative, mild-mannered VPX refers to it as a bullseye target. Right, it's not just me waving my hands, and so it is like it we believe, yeah. So we had our highest concentration of silver up to 11,000 gram per ton, but average about 1,000 gram per ton silver at surface, like lots of it.
Mm-hmm.
Then our highest sample of gold at over 101 gram per ton gold. Our biggest magnetic response, we ran a magnetic survey. So we had really a white hot response, 400 meters across of magnetics. There's the potential of having a false reading there. Maybe it's a graphite lens. That's possible. We followed that up with a gravity survey. And there we had our biggest gravity response, 800 meters long, overlapping the magnetic response and the highest concentration of silver and a high grade gold. So that's why we think of it as a bullseye target, where just everything we did worked in one specific area. Right. So that's what where we'll start out drilling at Star. We're mobilizing here in the next few days. And we'll be working there through mid-September. So that's Star, and then at Birch we'll do 3,000 meters there. What we're working to do there is get into mineralized skarn horizons. Like I think we've got a pretty good reading on those, but then drill down to 350, 400 meters to test for the upper part of the porphyry that we believe is there.
And are you working with the same sort of like drilling contractor for the three projects, or you got some different? I was reading a bit of stuff in preparation for the interview, and you're pretty good on explaining who you're sort of working with. Is that kind of the same sort of drill team that'll be drilling those three, or is it different?
Yeah, we've been using Platinum.
Great.
They've been great to work with.
I hear it's pretty busy in the Yukon for exploration this year, which is great. So good to hear. The barmaid at my local pub, her husband works for Bort, and he's been up there for pretty much the last 2 years, but super busy this year. So good stuff. Well, thanks for giving us a good overview on that. Why don't we turn to sort of the financial side before we kind of get into it? So what's your current cap table sort of look like post raise? And again, you guys just went out, you said you're going to raise 5 million, I think, and you came back with 11.2, including your sort of overage and agent sort of green shoe and all that. So congrats on that. That's nice to see. What's your cap table kind of look like? How many issued and outstanding now?
I know 114 million. So it's a reasonable amount. I think an intelligent cap structure. So the last raise was at 55 cents. And that was done in April. And then the first raise we did was at an average of 38 cents. So we showed that nice succession, right? Raising at a higher amount. Warrant at 80 cents, right? So that a bit of I think key there with
and that's a half warrant, right?
That was a half warrant. Yeah, thank you.
And so on a fully diluted, so you got 114 issued outstanding. What approximately do you have on a fully diluted basis?
So 143 on a fully diluted. Yeah.
And the average sort of strike price on your sort of warrants?
70 cents.
Excellent. So
So
not too
that's
far from where you're trading at today. You're 60 odd cents here.
Yeah, so I would say, yeah. So we've got, I would say it's roughly 10 million at 60 cents. So that was what we provided at launch when we did the 38 cents raise. So we had a half warrant there at 60, and then this raise we did at 55 cents with a half warrant at 80. So average is 70 cents. I don't expect to see that warrant money in anytime soon. It was a pretty generous a 3.5 year warrant on that 60 cents. So I'm not expecting it anytime soon.
I was reading your sort of corporate presentation, some stuff. You've got roughly around 17 million in the bank, something like that, 15, 17, something like that.
Yeah, no, we did. Now the drilling, once you start, the drills
Sure.
start flowing. Yeah, the checks I'm signing are getting bigger and bigger. But it's great. I mean, that's a great problem to have. We're out there in the field working. But yeah, just to give a bit of color on the transaction we did. So as you probably know, so Cormark and Canaccord did a race for Snowline, and essentially they that was oversubscribed. I think they had a good understanding that there was money left on the sidelines, and as soon as they wrapped up with that, I had paperwork on my desk from them, and so yeah, we conceived of a $5 million program, and then yeah, it was a good timing in the market, and we did $5 million with Cormark and Canaccord. We did six of it ourselves. So 6 million was non-brokered, a big president's list, and so 75% of the money that we got in this last raise was people doubling down from the first raise. So Mark Wowerton coming back in for a couple of million, Crescat coming in for $1 million, right? So it really was folks that doubling down. So really good patient capital involved.
And are you fully funded for the balance of the year?
Definitely, yeah. So when we started the program, we did have 17 million in. I expect to exit it with between 8 and 10 million to exit the season. And so no, we're in a great position where we're not in a position where we need to access the capital markets at all, right? We can afford to be patient, get all of our news out there, explain it well, and then go build our next program next year, and how to use the proceeds, and yeah, consider our capital requirement then.
You have a pretty high insider ownership, which is one of the key things I look for. Would you mind just giving a bit of a rough sort of overview on, retail, institutional, insider, kind of generally where the buckets sort of fall?
Yeah, so it is roughly 50% are owned by insiders. It's at technically 40%, but Keith Neumeyer owns 9.9%. And he's one of the founders, obviously. So that's where you get your roughly 50% of. So yeah, I mean, and the Berdahls are the largest single shareholder with 25 million shares. They have not sold a share of Snowline. I don't expect them to sell any of Yukon Metals either. And then yeah, I mean, institutional at this stage, right? I mean, as you know, the folks at Haywood, some of those senior brokers are almost institutions onto themselves. But it's at this stage, it really is. It's Crescat, it's Comedy, it's Commodity Capital.
Yep.
It's not a huge institutional ownership, but very high net worth, large book brokers, and yeah, folks like Keith and Mark Wolverton, etc.
Excellent. And so, yeah, I was going to ask a bit more about the Berdahl, so you explained that. So good stuff. Do you own any shares?
I do, not as many as I'd like. Right? I mean, we were talking about how life's been going, and yeah, after buying a house and stuff. But yeah, I have 800,000. I wish I had more. But it's, as you know, with these things is the management groups can, like, I mean, you can issue yourself a bunch of shares, right? I mean, right at a low cost, and we didn't do that. And so yeah, the chair I think owns a couple million shares. I own 800,000, which is about as much as I could manage. And of course we're incented through stock options as well, and really those, like, no one's getting rich here unless we perform, right? I mean, our options were at 45 cents when we started. I think there was a small top up at 55 cents. And so, yeah, no one's doing well with their options unless we perform for shareholders. And so we're aligned there. And yeah, we need to add dollars to the share price here to reward shareholders and to reward. I do agree with bonus incentivizing and option incentivizing staff, so they're aligned with shareholders.
Excellent. Well, you're one of the good guys. I wouldn't accuse you of issuing yourself a bunch of free shares for no good reason, or having an unnecessarily lavish office. I know you're cut from good cloth, and you learn well, so you keep things pretty lean. So that's one of the reasons why I'm a shareholder, is because hey, if the metal's there, you're going to do a really good job to find it and put a good chunk of that money into the ground rather into Cactus Club beers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's where we're making our investments, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a technical team. We're investing in the ground, investing in geological talent. Our office is $5,500 a month, so we're not spending on a lavish office.
Yeah, for sure. So a little bit about so we've gone through a set of cap table. Thanks very much for going through that. Congrats on sitting on that amount of money. That probably seems quite different than 20 years ago when we would scramble to try to raise $1 million for a deal. So congrats on the success there. You were always very good at getting sort of the big institutional or strategic sort of money together. So that's good that you're continuing to do that. Now about the property ownership. So you mentioned the Berdahl family kind of vended it in. In terms of the company, based upon that, does it own the property, the 17 sort of 100%? Are there royalties sort of attached to that? What's the ownership situation look like?
Yeah, so it is owned, like the assets are owned 100%. There's no JVs or anything. There is a 2.5% royalty owned by the Berdahls, right? Yep. So it is insider owned, so it's not external to the group. So there's no ownership outside of the insiders. So yeah, I mean, and that's, I think as you've seen there is a buyback option on a portion of that royalty. But what the key thing is that it is owned internally, right? So if we go to with our model, right, I think the most likely way we run this and the shareholders benefit is that we advance these assets into something that a mid-tier or major is going to be interested in, and we sell it. So the nice thing is when you have a huge the royalty being your largest shareholder and your vendor and the person that you work closely with, is that if there needs to be a negotiation there about royalties and what works, we're all on the same team. So.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for kind of covering that. Well, let's move on, kind of covering off a little bit of the property stuff just one more time. Just for those, just a recap of kind of what's going on. AZ is where you're drilling right now. You've got 2 drill rigs, or you brought a second rig to sort of complete some further kind of drilling. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So we're going to be wrapping that up. That's the one where we need to hightail it ahead of this hunting season. Yeah. So I think like I said, with the test there, we want to come out there with discovery holes, right? That being our first discovery. Sure. I think we've seen. Yeah, we've seen sufficient core there, and I really look forward to providing detail on it. So yeah, I mean, I think we'll go back there and do some geophysics work, but for drilling, we'll be wrapped up there in July and out of there. Yeah,
and then you're moving to start.
So
where are you moving to then after?
Yeah, so we'll do Star here probably in the next few days, mobilizing there. Start with 1 rig, have the ability to get more aggressive there if need be, and then Birch will start August 1. So really, we're not doing 3 simultaneously. We've done AZ, and now we'll do 2 simultaneously.
Awesome. And so this is always the time where you can feel the pit in your stomach, as an executive, waiting on drill assays and hoping to make sure the market understands. What do you think kind of success sort of like looks like? Are you just looking for sniffs? You mentioned discovery hole. Are you, again, there can be quite a bit of expectation. You're looking for broad interval type stuff. You're looking for narrow high grade. What sort of what are you kind of hoping for?
Yeah, success looks like multiple discoveries, right? That's what we're looking for. That's. I mean, like I've said that before. I'm not backing away from it. And look, I think, and you've talked about this as well, right? I mean, I think, look, our investors and the people that double down on their interest in us, and I know internally we believe that the data and the scientific work we've done supports that there's an excellent opportunity here for 3 discoveries. But I would say even the most conservative folks that I've presented to, and right, we do a lot of marketing and go out to various conferences, it will suggest that we'll probably be successful with at least one of these, right? I mean,
Odds are,
yeah,
yeah, it's rare that you'd have 0 for 3. So that's good. And again, it's all about setting expectations. So I imagine that's sort of what you're doing with things like this, and obviously, keeping people updated and whatnot is really kind of just setting expectations. So you can hopefully under promise and over deliver with whatever that sort of looks like. It does sound like you had some interesting core visuals to justify a second rig. I think I read something about that. Is that kind of correct?
That's correct. So it was just we just gave, it was a little bit of a peekaboo on the beginning, just down to 24 meters when we announced the drilling, and so that was a lot of malachite, a lot of azurite, and those both run about 50% copper. And as a reminder, 3.5% copper at surface. So definitely plenty of encouragement there. The other zone where we brought the other rig to. That one in particular showed more evidence of gold in the rocks at surface, I should say. So, look, I think with these copper gold projects, if you have gold right, that can also be a kicker on top of that copper. Something can go from being potentially if it's economic or marginally economic to being very economic, right? And so that would be very interesting there to see if we right. I mean, I think there's encouragement there, but Truth Machine will let us know there on, and so that's just early. I mean, in this big 13,000 hectare property, just doing 5 holes. I think the I hope that we've got one discovery here already at Star. I think the discovery potential there is relatively low hanging fruit, right? Where we're drilling into a silver vein right at surface, and we've got silver, gold all over the place at surface, and then what we believe is this magnetic gravity high, relatively shallow below surface, thinking that's a gold bearing mantle. So I think the potential for discovery there is high, and just for reference to, like, just so it doesn't sound like this kind of pie in the sky thinking. Where we are at Star River, 7 kilometers away from there is an asset group. It was called Quetzal Gold, and they built a mine there and produced from a gold bearing mantle, built their own processing equipment and everything. So that was a real company that produced and wrapped up a production in actually around the Great Recession. But so I think there's definitely context for how we think about that. And then Birch, that's a big swing there too. 7,000 hectare property. We believe in intact gold-rich copper porphyry. So I mean, we think we're going to be successful there too.
Awesome. Maybe you'll be 3 for 3. Let's keep our fingers crossed, huh? So you're sleeping at night then? You're sleeping like a baby? Sleeping pretty good?
Well, I don't know if I'm doing a good job of setting low expectations.
Definitely not on this one. That's high expectation. But anyways, let's see.
Sleeping well. Sleeping well. Honestly, now, like, it's raising the money, right? And then you've got a good team, and like now you're able to deploy that capital, get out and see the drills going. So I'm starting to sleep a lot better now. I'm feeling really good about AZ, and I'm excited that we can get going on Star and Birch. And all of these things, just like capital raising and like working with the market is a year-round thing. So endeavor. So is permitting and all of that. So that can definitely keep
Great,
things.
that's a good segue. We're going to get right into that. I was going to ask, a little bit about seasonality. You talked about seasonality for raising money. Always got to be raising money, especially when you're an early stage explorer that's looking to generate discovery, fresh discovery. It's really the place where we need to invest. It's maybe a bit underinvested. When we get into these resource markets, there's a lot of recycled old projects that maybe didn't work before, and they're sort of easiest to kind of come to market. But we need companies like yours that are going out and looking for fresh, new discovery. They're also the ones with the best torque, right, on success. It's where if we miss Snowline, some of us missed it. Well, maybe we can get it here on Yukon Metals. So here we go. But what's the seasonality look like on the exploration side of things? Is it a fairly short window to drill? When can you drill? What's that sort of look like in terms of work and exploration?
Yeah, thanks, Kier. No, it is. I mean, you're in the Yukon territory, so it is relatively short compared to if you're in Arizona or Nevada. But that's also why there's just so much kind of bountiful prospectivity there, right? And just abundance of outcropping situations in the Yukon. Generally, we're going to be drilling until September 15th, right? That's when the snow starts flying. It starts to get a little bit chilly overnight. So we've got stoves in each of the tents, and they're off the ground. And so we winterize them as much as possible. Have good camp food and right, like we try and work to make everyone comfortable. But yeah, you start to get into zeros territory overnight after mid-September. So I think that's when we'll work to. And then over the winter, you'll work on your subsequent permitting and work to move that to a class 3. And then you can build a more substantial camp, right? You can have up to 50 people at camp instead of 10, or right, 10 to 12. And you can have a much bigger program, right? So that will be the focus here is to come out of this season with these discoveries and these discovery holes, and then move into a much more advanced program next season. Right, but the one I will say that I think there's the high potential for us to be able to work further into winter, like Sitka does. I think Sitka works into sort of, they've got road access. They work into mid-October, which is firmly winter in the Yukon, but they can start up again in February into March. And I think Star River has that potential, right? Given that it's all access road, it's about an hour from Ross River, 5-hour drive from Whitehorse. You can get right onto camp. So I think that one has the opportunity where we can bring in rigs, Timmins type rigs, right? Put a hut on top, keep people warm, and not have to be helicopter supported, reliant on weather.
And what's the permitting situation look like? How easy is permitting when you're working in the Yukon, trying to get exploration permit? Is it sort of like a season by season or program by program, or do they give you sort of like a 5-year, sort of exploration permit? How does it generally sort of work? Maybe for those that aren't as familiar about the Yukon and maybe some of the changes that the Yukon's made related to things like Victoria Gold's mine disaster.
Yeah. Let's get into all of that. Yeah, no, it's great. So class 1 is a year-to-year thing. Once you get class 3, then you've got 10 years. So as you might suspect, that's a big leap, right? So you get to build a much bigger camp. You're still consulting. You're still doing all of that work with your partners, the community and First Nations, but you have a 10-year window then, right? So that really valuable moving from class 1 to class 3. Class 1, so we got permits on all of our key assets, right? So that's a win right there, is that you've raised all this money, you're able to deploy it, you're able to do the work.
And you've got class 1s across the 3 projects that you're drilling?
Yes.
Okay. Any class 3s on anything?
We do not have a class 3 now. I mean, that's essentially,
you got to prove it. You got to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a work program, right? So our work program hasn't risen to, basically hasn't been the support or the basis to do that scale of work.
Sure. Yeah, you
But
got to find something worth going back and making it bigger. So,
yeah, I mean, that's where you're working on building a resource and really building
okay.
out. And so that's what you would need for a class 3, 4. And so again, yeah, that really is, it is a constant state of like, it's just like when you're raising money, you don't want to just like, right, just go cold and just go out there and try to raise money. You've laid a foundation and had this engagement on a constant basis. And so that's what we've had. And we've had in for Birch and AZ in an area where we've had outstanding support by the Kluane First Nation. The an outfitter, an exploring company we use called Vision Quest is a Kluane owned and operated exploring and outfitting company. They've done line cutting for us, built camps. They've done our soil sampling. They've done a substantial amount of work that expediting work. So like staking, they've done huge work for us on the staking side. So like they've done a substantial amount of work for us, and they're really supportive. They've been a great partner, and now we're working with the Ross River First Nation. We've built an excellent foundation there with them. I've just signed an exploration agreement with them, so we're moving forward, and so we've done the hard yards of working to build those relationships and hope to move forward with them in a situation where we can both create economic opportunities for Yukon Metals shareholders, but also in the communities, creating those kind of economic opportunities for folks locally.
And you've mentioned a couple of times, and you've mentioned that you had some interest from money for related to Snowline because of the success of Snowline and the Berdahl family, and just that sort of synergy. I would imagine there's quite a few comparisons that are drawn between Yukon and Snowline. Is that sort of a helpful comparison that you'd say, or are those some pretty big shoes to fill?
Definitely big shoes to fill. I think it's got to be helpful. Snowline, for us, certainly we've benefited, but I think that everyone working in the Yukon has benefited from, again, this is a word that sometimes words that get overused, but like developing a world-class gold deposit, right? I mean, that gets thrown around too much, world-class, but like that's world-class, right? Valley is world-class. So like having a new district scale discovery like that makes everyone look good, right? That's the Yukon is capable of producing that kind of ore body, right? So I think it's been good for all of us. The fact that the assets come from the same place as ours come from Ron and Scott and the brother Andrew, right? That these assets come from their family, I think gives us. Yeah, I think certainly gives us some cachet, and I think that's not helped with keeping expectations low, right? I think people do have expectations, right? That there's going to be success here, and I think that's one of the reasons we've traded relatively well.
Yeah, you got a pretty decent market cap for pre-discovery. You're about at 65, 70 million market cap today.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, obviously, with a decent amount of that being cash, so enterprise value about 45 million, perhaps,
Sure.
something like that. But yeah, no, I think that's it. So there is some expectation built in, right? That with the quality of the assets that we have, the team that we've been able to put together, the folks behind it, that we ought to be successful again with at least one of these three, just for starters.
All right, catalyst time. What's the top 3 to 5 catalysts that we should watch out for over the next 3 to 6 months?
It's drilling, and it's assays, right? And that's the thing is it's been there's been a period, right, where we haven't had exploration news, but now you can look forward to, I mean, sure, 6, 7, 8 months of exploration and drilling news now. So those are the catalysts. So it's drilling, assays, discoveries.
Any potential for partnerships or JV? Any additional staking or any other projects that you might bring onto your massive monster portfolio?
Yeah, no, I think that's something we'll endeavor to learn more about this season, right? So we like areas where there's potential for value creation or partnership. That we'll explore those. And so yeah, I mean, I think that's probably something over the winter that we'll explore. But right now, we're just firmly focused on drilling and discovery.
Um, so looking back, since you sort of like got involved and helped usher this thing forward, what are you most proud of in terms of the work that you've accomplished so far?
I'm proud of the team we've been able to put together, right, for a small company, right, bringing on someone of Kaylee Gatton's pedigree, right, with Gold Corp and what's the name, JKS Mining, right, and Verify, and then Helena and her team, with the board that we've been able to assemble. We recently brought on Sue Craig, who's really an expert in dealing with communities in the Yukon. And she came onto the board in the first quarter, and she's also a geologist. So we've it's yeah, really proud of the team, and I think proud that we've been able to raise this money, and then proud that we're able to deploy it and get out there and do the work. So yeah, I mean, look, I think that's what I'm most proud of, and I think we've executed well. We've done what we said we were going to do, right, both with the communities and with the market. So yeah, it's kind of a long answer, but yeah, those are the things I'm proud of.
You and I, we've been through a few mining cycles. Is this the best bull market that you've ever seen? What are your thoughts on the current metals and mining environment?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the best I've ever seen, right? I mean, if I think like, yeah, I mean, what was the venture index worth back in the day? Was it, did it ever get up to
Oh,
like,
much
yeah,
higher. But I just mean more like, well,
yeah,
from your perspective now, there's no right or wrong answer. You could say, no,
yeah,
the last one was way better. Or you could say, no, this one's way better. I got a bigger bank account than I've ever had as a CEO. Uh, or maybe not. So, yeah,
yeah,
just was wondering. A lot of people, up until a few months ago when I had them on this, they would complain and say it was a shitty market. And I'd be like, well, I don't think so. I think since 2023 we've been in a pretty good
yeah,
bullish market for the right types of projects and the right executives. I guess
right.
we just want to be a bit careful about having those house street rounders get access to too much money that they're going to obliterate. So,
Right.
anyways,
Yeah.
from your perspective, being
Yeah.
in
No,
this sort of thing, what do you think? What do you
no,
think? Do you think there's a lot more upside? Do you think it's still the best is yet to
it's a
come?
good
Yeah, just what do you think? Ultimate insider sort of opinion.
Sorry, Kerry. Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think you touched on something there. I think there's probably been a flight to quality, right? I think it's a really nice setup, right? With commodity prices, I think it's not frothy like we've seen before. I'm not seeing that same like frothiness where there's just like people are just like looking for places to park money, right? Like where's an opportunity? What's the new promote that's coming along that they can throw money into, right?
I'll tell you later. I'll give you that later.
Good stuff.
Anyways, so go on, Rory. Yeah.
But no, but I think you're onto something there, right? Some of the folks that you've had on, some good quality companies and individuals, and they're getting their money, and that's what we've seen. That's what we've seen in the Yukon, right? Like Fireweed have gotten their money, right? We just saw obviously Snowline, but like Banyan, like you've seen
Yeah.
quality companies get their money. What was the copper company in Arizona just raised a bunch of
Faraday,
money
is it?
per day? That's one
Yeah.
of just
Another Lundin. Yeah.
another Lundin company.
Yeah. Fireweed, I'm a big fan of. Managed to spend some time with them in November, and yeah, they had a little bit of a leadership sort of shake up when the
Yeah.
Lundins decided to flex a bit of muscle, and
Mhm.
really they haven't looked back. And I think it's been good for the overall sector and good for Yukon, and
Yeah.
hopefully with some of that critical metal stuff that you're kind of mentioning. Seems that there's some money being sort of thrown around at that stuff, and we've got sort of a good environment in terms of metals. But anyway, sorry to cut you off. Carry on.
No, no, yeah. And Ian Gibbs, the new CEO of Fireweed, excellent. I just spent time with him up in the Yukon doing tours, so he's working hard. And yeah, and look, I think we talk about the Snowline kind of halo effect in the Yukon. I think also the Lundin family really betting heavily on the Yukon, and from what I understand, that there's no other jurisdiction on Earth they prefer than the Yukon, right? And so they've put their money into there, and yeah, I mean, look, I think they're getting very comfortable with the jurisdiction. They're always good at engaging with government and the communities there. So, look, I think we are starting to see more and more majors take note of the Yukon. With this tour we were just on with Fireweed and others, there were major companies up there taking a look.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Investor relation, it's changed quite a bit since you and I used to crack open a phone book or go to Maximizer database and, just cold call people. It's a little different. Can't do that anymore. What sort of activities are you kind of finding are sort of working to kind of get the word out? And, you guys trade pretty impressively in terms of liquidity. And again, you've got a beautiful chart. So, I've seen that you've been, you're active. What are some of the activities that you're finding that are sort of working? Are conferences still a great thing to attend?
Yeah, so some of those we're just going to be doing heading your way soon for this the CEM conference, and we did the Quebec conference. Obviously, this Beaver Creek conference coming up in September. This Kelowna one would be my last one. I think we're not doing any conferences for August, but yeah, we do those. Right, I tend to follow up with our really core investors frequently, and so I'll write a corporate update and kind of keep them sort of aggregate some of the news and tidbits and try to engage with them as much as possible. We obviously try to build a database, right, that's unique to Yukon Metals and bring people on board. What we try to do, like having opportunities like this is tremendous for us, right? And right, we know you, but we don't know your audience, right? And so having opportunities like this can be huge for us. Kaylee understands this area quite well. You're right; it has changed. Does anyone pick up the phone anymore? But
You might go to an office anymore.
yeah,
Everybody's some of those people that you speak about, they're so big that they work from home or they work remotely. They're not really showing up to an office all to be sitting side by side anymore. But yeah, things are a little different from that perspective. Yeah.
Yeah, the cold call farm that we were on to start with.
Yeah, it was great. I loved it. Yeah, it was awesome. It was some good proving ground. Everybody should do it. Everybody should do it. But now there's AI calling. You don't even have to do the call. You can just send in your numbers, and some computer will make the calls for you. So
that's true. I think digital is and so that's I mean, I coming up, we did where it was really just like calling and getting as many brokers onto involved in your company as possible, and just like I mean, just doing that was hard work, right? And so I think we will do that really with our core investors, keep them updated. Keith Neumeyer's pretty old school as well as you and I, probably more so, and so he certainly believes in that, calling people and updating them and keeping that engagement going. But yeah, I think the digital side is new. I think you've obviously embraced it quite a bit in your work, but that's something that Kaylee Gantons is quite familiar with, and so it's creating quality content with good people like yourself, and then being able to highlight that and amplify that with the right people. Fortunately, Keith is also, as a big supporter, has a big following as well, so he's great at when we are able to have quality content. He also will repost that to his network. So yeah, I think the digital space is pretty new, but otherwise I think still like good quality releases, right, and explaining the core elements of that release, and being able to really still I think kind of kind of get us to what the value is, right? I think that talent still is important in this business, right? To
For
write
sure.
about, yeah.
Any sort of that's we're about an hour, just ticked over an hour, so like I'm not sure how many people are still going to be watching at this point, but why don't we do a little wrap up? What are some final thoughts you want to leave us with? Any what's your final thoughts? Give us a little sort of elevator pitch and what we should take away from this.
Yeah, that's great, Kier. Thank you for your time. And yeah, I can ramble on at times here.
Me too.
Get excited, but yeah, like really here, opportunity for real scale, high grade opportunities, close to road, close to power. The assets come from a terrific place, world class prospector in Ron Berdahl, right? That is obviously getting the respect he deserves now, since Snowline is developed into the company it has, and Valley into the deposit it is. And look, we're taking big swings at three properties. We'll be drilling deep holes, 400 meters, searching and intending to have 3 discoveries by the end of this season. We're going to have 6 to 7 months of news flow here, exploring and drilling. So really, I think we've laid a good foundation here, trading at about 60 cents, and which is just marginally over where we raised at 55 cents in the summer here. So I think a good opportunity to position yourself ahead of 7-8 months of news here.
Well, Rory, thanks again for joining us today. Really appreciate catching up, and nice to see you're doing so well. Thank you.
Likewise. Thanks so much, Gary. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and for those of you that are watching, again, this is Yukon Metals, trades on the CSE with the ticker YMC. It's early, but it's well-funded, and they're being very aggressive in the field. This is a high-torque discovery play, backed by a serious legacy of discovery in the Berdahl family. So, again, big portfolio projects, tens of thousands of hectares here, if not more, to sort of go on. And I'm a shareholder. I'm going along for the ride with Rory, and I've got Rory, someone I've got the utmost respect for. I believe that he's doing all that he can to sort of reduce that sort of risk and really help to develop that discovery. And you can learn more by going to yukonmetals.com. Check out their latest investor deck. Make sure you subscribe to their investor list so you can stay up to date. And make sure you subscribe for TokStocks for more first look conversations just like this one. Thank you.